What's up, my brothers and my sisters from another mister? So today we're going to do a comic book review of King Spawn issue number 24. This is the sinister invasion where Spawn's epic battle unravels into some plot twist you're not gonna believe. Brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. So before we get into the issue, previously on King Spawn, Spawn and Sam have been surrounded by the forces of the Exodus Corp. Little does everyone know that reinforcements in the form of Terry and Twitch are about to kick the door down. So just a quick recap, an Exodus Corp warehouse near the Hudson River where Tar Marivel and her father and the monster behemoth have cornered Spawn. At least so it appears. But Spawn, that's where he discovered Yoko, who was once dead, now she is risen. She is the conduit to the channel to the nightmares of New York City. And Sam Burke, caught in the middle of some biblical scrum, is just in the middle of it. But while outside, someone else watches as we clearly see the point of view of that person watching, but we won't know who that is. Though it appears that Spawn is cornered, that person, whoever is watching, has a sadistic smile on his face. Even though we can't see it, his smile is sadistic. Just take my word for it. Because he knows that Spawn is far from cornered. And Spawn attacks the older Melville, smashing him into the glass. Yoko is being launched into the behemoth, and Spawn's power is at its very height, at its very peak, but he's not realizing that's exactly what Tar had wanted from him. She wanted to expend as much of his power as possible. She needed his anger on full display so her kiss of death could consume him and consume as much of his energy as it would allow. Tar sees this as an act of love, sharing with these all-powerful beings what it's like to feel vulnerable, to feel human again. Because as hidden wars play out across the globe, humanity will soon find out that what might actually save them is a small dose of love scattered across their battlefields. So Yoko approaches Cyan. She puts her fingertip on Cyan and she yells out her name. Cyan wakes up and yells out Yoko because they had a connection back in Spawn issue 200, even though editorial notes are not in there, but they're two spirits tied to one another, young women who trusted no one back in Japan, but somehow they found each other. So Yoko asks Cyan, do you remember? Because I do. I see us in Japan. You were running from them before. You unlocked them, your powers, they couldn't stay hidden, and you avenged my murderer. You made them pay, and that freed me. And I prayed that you stayed, Cyan, but that wouldn't give me peace, because the reason why it didn't give me peace is because the Disruptor and the Exodus Corporation, all of them have been using me to channel all these brains for their nefarious plot and their sadistic plot. But elsewhere in the dark, Tar Melver is done with Spawn and her kiss of death, and she tells Behemoth he's all yours. And Behemoth has his moment of triumph when he goes up to Spawn from behind, claps him up in the air, and claps him down to the ground face first and throws him to the side like some kind of rag doll that means nothing to him. But little does he know, Spawn's enemy have known about the existence of Hell Spawns for centuries, and very few of the faction leaders or warriors have ever come face to face with one, and Behemoth is one of them. He's rarely came across Spawn, so what that actually means is he doesn't know what Spawn is truly capable of. And Spawn tells Behemoth, look at me and look at me real close. Like a ghost, Spawn allows the shadows to engulf him, to hide him, so he can plan his assault on the next attack. But before he does that, outside the warehouse, Twitch and Terry are looking upon all this happening and unfolding. So Terry tells Twitch, even though they're both confused about all this because this is supernatural stuff that they're not quite used to, or maybe they are, but it's just crazy stuff what's happening here. Human brains, supernatural fights, and Behemoth. Yeah, so Terry tells Twitch, ready on my count, 2, 1, and Terry and Twitch enter guns blazing. Twitch tags Marivel in the shoulder. Terry grabs his daughter Cyan and tells her, I'm getting you out of here. And Cyan's like, well, what about Spawn? Don't worry about him. He'll take care of himself. Terry shoots out the light and it all goes dark. And taking care of himself is exactly what Spawn's about to do. So if his enemies want to torture Spawn and maim him and control him, okay, that's okay, because he's okay with that because he knows he can deal with that. But he doesn't like when his enemies use the innocent and the vulnerable as tools towards their agenda, and that's when Spawn's anger reaches its peak. So he tells tells him, huh? Exodus, that's what you guys call yourself, the Exodus Foundation? How ironic a word you choose, because Exodus is the second book of the Bible. The word means to depart. To scholars, it means the departure of this world to another. For Spawn, it's about to mean extinguished from existence, and he goes after the behemoth. And when he's done, they'll know it was never a contest, and that the result was never in doubt. Spawn goes to work on Behemoth, impales him with his own fist, and tells Behemoth in the act of superiority, tells him, you don't even understand the things that you've woken up, do you? And pushes him down to the side onto Tar Melver. So Tar Melver has to get this big behemoth up off of her, and she's like, oh hell no, I'm going after Spawn now. So is it delusion? Is it insanity? Whatever it is, the villains still attempt to press their attack towards Spawn. So Cyan was like, Yoko, you cannot stand by and idly watch all this violence go down. But she does. So Spawn knows when Tar Melva gets up, he has to keep his distance from her, because he knows he can't allow Tar to put her lips on him again. And not in that kind of way where it's like lip locking, like high school prom kind of kissing. No, this is a kiss of death we're talking about. So when Tar Melva yells out Yoko, the reason why she does that is because for all this time they've been trying to make her their slave since resurrecting her, forcing her to endure the invasion of so many wicked souls in her mind. Then they wanted her to entrap them to make those souls her slaves, to continue the pattern of oppression into the next decade. But yet, seeing Cyan has reminded Yoko of the last time she felt like someone, the last time she felt still human, that she somehow still cared about her even if she was half dead. Cyan was that catalyst for Yoko. So Yoko looks at Tar Melva and tells her, hey, you know what, she's paid her price. And Spawn's like, okay, well, you and I are not done yet, what about us? And Yoko tells Spawn, we do nothing, you and I are done. So, but minutes later, Yoko shows Spawn the cameras that they're connected to throughout the world with the faithful zealots of the Exodus Corp, including Jericho. And Jericho turns around looking at the camera and tells Spawn, you knew we made contingency plans. Because of you, we're all mobilized. Now, Exodus, Revelations are both waiting for you, thanks in part to exiling me into the dead zone. Spawn, he calling him out and tells Spawn there's a whole lot more to the story than you think about. So Spawn looks at Jericho's like, you were sent there to die, so shut up, bruh. And Jericho's like, actually, we think it's you humans that should suffer the same fate, not me. So, but before Jericho complete his sentence and continue on, he is grabbed from behind by Behemoth, and that is it. The camera goes black. Spawn looks at Tar Melver's father and tells him, you took this girl, then teased us about her mother returning. Now you're threatening Earth? That's some bull jive. And to what end? So he responds with, hey, look, don't come at me like that. A flood is coming. You either accept and join us, or this planet drowns like the tales of Noah's Ark. So Spawn's like, man, enough of this shit. Stop threatening me, stop threatening, and just do it. Tell your bosses and show me how tough they really are. So now run, little dog. So Sam looks at Spawn like, really? You're just gonna let him go? And Spawn's like, no, not really. I'm gonna hunt him later because he'll lead me straight to the head of their pack. But before Marvel can do that, he's also running away from another threat. And that threat is the one that just murdered him as his head just plops to the ground. So sadly, Spawn's group barely reacts to this, as they've all grown used to the atrocities of war. They're used to this, as disgusting as it may be, just seeing a dead man's head all bloodied out to the ground. So Twitch is like, someone's hiding out there, and Spawn's like, I know. He's another I've been hunting, and he approaches a large shadow right there. So with a calm smoke is lit, matches are not needed for this guy, and he tells Spawn, good evening, Simmons. I suggest you say goodbye to your friends. I'm gonna need you for a little while. And where we're going, most of them wouldn't survive anyway. Hell, we might not survive either. And that is the end of this issue of King Spawn, issue number 24. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. I always felt the Violator was always at play here, because even when Spawn defeats him, he comes back stronger and more sadistic than ever. And I can't wait to see what the next issue has in store for us. So with all that being said, King Spawn issue number 24, link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or some of our other Rated Comics exclusives to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Thank you again for watching. Until next time.